Here is episode 10 of the History of MTWS. In the last episode, I talked about the 2015 season, which was the last season of MTWS. This episode, I'm going to talk about the years of 2016 through 2018, which were the years 3 years after the 2015 season, and when I started doing exhibition events. Wow, it's hard to believe, too, that after doing like 22 to 24 events in 2015, I only have done 3 in the next 3 years. But hey, that's the pains of the exhibition season. And I'm going to actually explain once again why MTWS stopped being a regular season event. I have before, but the video's gone, so I'm going to have to talk about it again. So, let's get into it. And since these next final 3 episodes are going to be short, probably, I might try and finally finish them up this summer. So let's now get into it. I actually don't remember when this was. It might have honestly been as way back to like the end of 2014 into early 2015 when I was still working on the 2014 championship. But as the rest of 2015 went on, I became more and more convinced, like a 99% chance, that MTWS was going to be done as a regular season series after 2015 was over. But I did not announce it like I did in 2012, because at 1% I just wasn't sure, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. So I sat on it. So of course it was February of 2016 with the 2015 season all wrapped up, and for the first time since 2009 I had no plans. Normally I would have already be making trucks to debut the next March. I would begin working on the schedule in April, but none of that. March 2016, I made no new trucks. April 2016, I made no schedule. May, June, we then got into July of 2016, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fans of MTWS were probably wondering, what's going on? Why is there no new trucks, no new schedule, or nothing? No word on anything. And then finally, that July, I finally decided it's time for me to confirm that MTWS was no longer going to come back as a season. I don't know what happened with the video. I guess it somehow got deleted, but it's not there. So, I explained in the video that the reason why MTWS was not coming back, unlike in 2012, where the reason that was because life needs and all that, and it got resolved, 2015's case was MTWS is just too big for me to just do on my own. I mean, for crying out loud, don't forget too, this is now July of 2016. Until that recently, I mostly was just focused on my channel, MTWS. I didn't do really pretty much anything, but now by the summer of July of 2016, I've done Pokemon playthroughs, Victoria 2, Rigs of Rods, my football series, the NFL project, and of course, that July I started doing commentaries for Rigs of Rods and all of them. So I had a lot more stuff I was doing instead of just MTWS as I done. Geez, even just last year I didn't do anywhere near the content I was doing over this last summer. So for MTWS to come back, one of 2 things would need to happen. The first one is lowering the quality of MTWS videos, more like the live events, or MTWS in general. Now, there were a few ideas I considered. One, I considered cutting the amount of trucks from 40 to 32. That would help. That would mean 16 trucks for each event, which would be 4 less qualifying passes, 4 less races, and 4 less trucks out there for freestyling. That would help quite a lot. That was a consideration. The other one was cutting back the amount of live events that happened. Because remember, in 2015, you had 2 season openers, 2 season finales, the Runners-Up Cup, and the Championship. A live event in September, October, November, and December, plus the Thanksgiving event as well. So 2 live events in November. That's, I think, 11 live events. Guys, that's almost half the entire season, usually, of MTWS. Half the season is live events, pretty much. That, honestly, is probably too many for the quality that MTWS is currently running. So I considered, okay, maybe get rid of one of the season opener finales, have it just one event, maybe have all 40 compete in that one, and get rid of the extra December and November events, so November will just have the Thanksgiving event, and December would have just the season finale. That would be just 8 events live, and that would cut down by a third. That would help out a lot. And finally, the other proposal I had was lowering the quality and cutting back. And there were numerous ways I could have done that as well, as in no more commentary for the live events, no more replay, no more intros, and all that crap. Basically, I would take MTWS back, not only back to the quality of 2014, but like 2013 and 2012. That's how much of a regression I was considering. And that one I really did not want to do. That was like the one I absolutely like, no, I don't want to do that at all costs. I didn't want to remove the 8 trucks a year, because then who the hell would I get rid of? That would be not really fair. The cutting back the live events, that was a consideration that was probably the most likely, but it just ended up not happening. And then the other option I mentioned is, I need help. MTWS is so big, I can't do this on my own anymore. And I know you're all thinking, well, we'd be more than willing to help you. Now, of course, at the time of 2016, I did not know Discord yet, so that at first would not be useful for me. But now it could be. I would appreciate the help, but sorry, I can't accept your help. One, I don't want you to know the results of the event before it happens. But more importantly, I can't rely on you guys when you're not around me, basically. And when I mean by I need help, I need someone who's physically around me, and also someone I can give a call or whatever, say, hey, I need you to help me right now. They'll help me, like, instantly. That's the help I need. As I joked in the video too, maybe have a girlfriend that could help me. Like, I would film the events, put the footage on like a cloud that she could download on another computer, put the footage together, maybe add commentary and all of that. Like more people helping me do the work of the video as it happens. But of course, that didn't happen, and still hasn't happened 4 years later and all that. So because of that, MTWS just could not come back as a regular season. And until this problem has been resolved, MTWS will not come back as a regular season series. But I did mention in the video that MTWS would come back for another event in 2016. And that I was going to get to right now, as I was going to begin working on it when I first announced that video. But before I get to that, I wanted to talk about a couple other things too. The first thing I didn't announce at the time was Monster Jam, Red Alert, and Pokemon 2 were retired. I was going to replace them in 2017. Now, Pokemon, I actually kept for the rest of 2016 because it was Pokemon's 20th anniversary, so I wanted to continue celebrating that. And MTWS.weebly.com, my original site that I had since November 2009. Back in March of 2016, I made a brand new site, which I still use it to this day, Tim Horn's blog, although that name might change very soon, where it was going to cover not only MTWS, but a whole bunch of other things I wanted to talk about. But since then, it's not really been used in that regard. It's mostly been MTWS related. But the end of the year would be the end of the site, as I would delete the old MTWS.weebly site on New Year's Day of 2017. But of course, it would be used one more time for the upcoming exhibition event, which I am now going to talk about. It was now Christmas of 2016, and MTWS, for the first time since the 2015 championship, almost a year later, was back for more action as we were heading down to Louisville, Kentucky for our first ever event there. It was the first ever track on a speedway, and it was going to be the first time ever a figure 8 style track, which I was so looking forward to do. It was a track I wanted to do for a really long time. This is actually only the second other track other than Arlington 2009 where I did not make the track whatsoever. Now, unlike the Arlington 2009, I did add a backflip wall in this event for freestyle. So I did edit. It wasn't fully not done by me like Arlington 2009 was, but I didn't make the track by scratch, unlike that. Only the second other track to do that. So of course it was the first ever figure eight style track, and the trucks were not going to definitely be used to how it's set up, being very close to each other too in racing and all of that. But Power Ford just edged out Thunderbolt for the #1 qualifier by 1/100th of a second. It was really, really close. But of course a lot of trucks struggled. Outlaw, Crazy Bull, Mad Dog all got bad times. Hell, Fireball didn't even qualify because it missed the ramp. But despite its struggles, Fireball actually would beat Power Forward in round 1. And then of course we had Crush and Run beating Crazy, MTWS beating Predator, Patriot getting a DNQ as it lost to Outlaw, Impala losing to Crazy Bull, Eruption beating Nitro, Pokemon losing to Blood Rage, and Thunderbolt beating Mad Dog in round 1. In round 2, Fireball would get beaten by Crush and Run, Outlaw would beat MTWS, Eruption would beat Crazy Bull, and Thunderbolt would get its revenge from the championship as it would beat Blood Rage. Then how about this for the semifinals? Crush and Run going up against Outlaw, their first rematch since the 2015 championship semifinals match. This time, however, Crush and Run would get its revenge as it would beat Outlaw in its first loss as the defending champ, and Thunderbolt would just edged out Eruption. So the finals was now Crush and Run versus Thunderbolt. And in a very tight race, Thunderbolt would get the win. It would win its first race since it won it in Baltimore back on September 27th of 2015, and it went out to celebrate an encore where it actually got a massive sky wheelie and flipped backwards on the racing lane, which was really funny. Of course, it didn't suffer any damage. So of course, freestyle was underway. We brought out the backflip wall too. And MTWS, coming out in its first competition since the 2014 championship almost 2 years ago, would have a really strong start, hitting almost everything out there, and ended up starting off with a 29. A couple more trucks came out. Pokemon, in its final competition in the 20th anniversary paint job, had a really good run and ended up taking the lead with a 30. Predator, of course, came out to go for a reverser backflip and ended up backflipping into the fencing area before flipping over. Then a few trucks later, Patriot came out and had an incredible run and took the lead with a 31. And the funny thing about Patriot was, it had a new theme for that event, which was America by Rammstein, I think it was called. But of course, it got blocked worldwide, so of course I couldn't use it, which was very annoying. And Blood Rage, funny enough, just like Thunderbolt did in its encore after winning racing, would go for the backside of the race lane and get a massive skywheel and flip backwards in the same lane too as Thunderbolt did, only getting a 9. The big guns came out and still no one could take on Patriot's 31, as Mad Dog went out there, tried to go for the backflip and ended up landing on its hood, only got 26. And Outlaw went out there, went for the backflip and almost got a double backflip, but failed and flipped, only got a 27. Then Thunderbolt came out going for the double down and tried its best and put up a really good run, but despite that, the judges really scored it very low. It ended up only tying Patriot with the 31. Then Nitro, in its first run since it lost its freestyle title, came out with an incredible run and took the lead with a 35 with just 2 trucks remaining. Crazy came out, had a sick run, but just fell short with a 34, much to the anger of the fans who thought it should have been enough to tie or outright maybe take the lead. And finally, Impala, in its first freestyle as the defending champ, had an incredible run, flipped with 9 seconds left on bonus time when it went for a backflip, almost got doubled just like Outlaw did, but it was just enough to get a 35 to tie Nitro for the win, as there was the first tie in MTWS since November 1st, 2015 back in Detroit. And our first event in a speedway, first event Louisville, first time track with figure 8 style, was very cool, and I hope to one day come back to Louisville and do figure 8 racing again, as it was nice to get back to MTWS action. And I forgot to mention too, back in the summer and spring of 2016, I would make the last ever truck for any MTM2 rigs or rods would be the last trucks I would make just on paint. Because that December of 2016, I finally got a subscription to Photoshop. I had a trial of Photoshop at least 2 or 3 times over the few years, but of course I used it mostly to try and make my Pokemon 3D models transparent for like my Pokemon playthroughs. I never actually used it to make a truck. It was that December of 2016 where I would make my first ever truck on Photoshop, Twisted Thunder. And of course, in the future, it would be used to make MTWS trucks. It was now spring of 2017, and of course now Monster Jam, Red Alert, and Pokemon were officially retired when I announced it, and I announced I was going to make 3 brand new trucks for MTWS, the first time since 2015, and these trucks were going to be made for the first time on Photoshop. Eruption was the first truck in MTWS to get a repaint on Photoshop. It would then be a few days later, and over the next few weeks, where I would make the 3 new trucks of MTWS. Daisy Chain, Reckless Intent, and Crasher. All 3 new members of the MTWS family, all made on Photoshop. The quality, of course, is crap now compared to how good I am with Photoshop, but at the time it's still better than what I did with normal paint and all that. And with the new trucks, I announced I was going to do an upcoming MTWS event sometime that spring, as we were going to be heading back to Las Vegas for the first time since the 2015 championship, and it was going to be the first non-championship event there since the 2014 season opener. And of course, with World Finals 18 just happening like a month or so ago, I got some inspiration to making the track, as I made a giant fountain, which is a double with 3 fountains on it, and another obstacle, dirt hill on the side of it being a giant fountain as well. That was really cool and all. I made some giant ass obstacles out there, which was really crazy, including a giant van stack that was probably over 50 to maybe I don't know about 100 feet, but it was really high up. You can easily tell it's really, really high up. And I brought back my double that I made in the 2009 championship. Now, I actually was considering making it backflippable, because if you look at the semi-trailer and the position it is, it's most likely backflippable, being realistic. But of course, the way I make my backflip walls, it would have been impossible to get over and clear the double from the normal side, because it would be a brick wall in order to get the backflip. So I had to just compromise and make it like the original semi-trailers, where you just get a massive sky wheelie through it. It was going to be the biggest field in MTWS history since the MTWS Monster Jam crossover 3 years ago, as it was going to be 32 trucks, and it was going to be crazy. I didn't announce a date at first. It was the first MTWS event where I worked on it and then gave the date after it was done and all, but the date was finally set for May 13th of 2017. MTWS 2017 Las Vegas. I did qualifying almost a month beforehand though, and Thunderbolt, who won racing last time out in Louisville, got the #1 qualifier. And to the stunning surprise of everyone, Daisy Chain, the rookie truck in its first ever race, actually got the #2 qualifier, edging out Nitro, who had its best racing appearance in Vegas in years. But the day finally arrived, as it was time for MTWS's return to Vegas. So the event began, as Thunderbolt would beat Mad Dog in the first race of MTWS coming back to Vegas. There were a lot of crazy races in round 1. Fireball edging out Patriot, Outlaw beating Crazy Bull. How about that for a first round race? And then we had Wild Ride and Bling freaking tying in their race. So we had to do that race again. Madness beat Power Forward, and then Outrage just edged out Daisy Chain by a photo finish. It was credible. And Wild Ride would beat Bling in the rematch. It was now round 2, as Thunderbolt beat Fireball, Impala would beat Destroyer, Prowler would get the huge upset as it would beat Crush and Run, Topsy Turvy would tie Flying Falcon and would win it in the rematch, Blood Rage would beat Nitro in a surprise, and Eruption would beat Outlaw to knock it off from its racing perch as it done so well in Vegas. Shatter would beat Madness, and Wild Ride would beat Outrage. It was now the quarterfinals, and how about that? To start the quarterfinals would be the ultimate race. Thunderbolt versus Impala. How about that? Our first treat since 2015. Try as Impala could, though, and Thunderbolt, once again, as always, just edged it out in racing. Then Prowler would go on to beat Topsy Turvy. Blood Rage would beat Eruption, and Shatter would edge out Wild Ride. It was then the semifinals, as Thunderbolt would beat Prowler, and Blood Rage would beat Shatter. So the finals was now Blood Rage and Thunderbolt. Blood Rage, who was just here over a year ago, fallen short of the 2015 championship, and here was in the finals again, going to have to go up against Thunderbolt, who has not lost a race since the 2015 championship. They went down Thunder Alley. They put up a good pass. Thunderbolt, sadly though, screwed up a bit in the turn, allowing Blood Rage to come from behind and get the win. Blood Rage would get its first racing win, since it won it back in Syracuse on December 27th of 2015. How sweet it was on the track that a year ago it lost a chance to get a racing title. It came back and won it. Although, as good as it was for Blood Rage, we all know damn well it would have loved to have won racing that night instead of here. So freestyle started with Daisy Chain, the rookie trucks coming out. Daisy Chain, oh my goodness, what an infamous run that was. Came out in its first freestyle and tore shit up and started off with 30. It was absolutely incredible, as Reckless Attempt came out afterwards, got 25, and Crasher came out, got 27. Not bad job for the rookies debuting in freestyle. Topsy Turvy came out and got a 28. Then Crush and Run sadly flipped over on top of the Van Stack, only got a 13. Then Crazy Bull came out, and just like it did in the championship 2 years earlier, it went out with a sick freestyle, and it went for the backside of the double with the semi-trailer, got a massive sky wheelie, crushing the semi-trailer and clearing the double. It was absolutely beautiful and took the lead with a 32, just like it did in the championship. Several trucks came out afterwards, but no one could beat Crazy Bull's score. Predator came out, and for the first time since November 25th of 2015 in Orlando, it got the reverse backflip. Finally landed it after all these years, but it fell short with a 30. Then Blood Rage came out going for the double down, and it had an incredible run and ended up taking the lead with a 34. It was sick. Several trucks came out, but no one could beat Blood Rage's score, and Wild Ride went for the back of the semi-trailer. We put a camper up there. It ended up almost getting a backflip off the backflip ball. It was so funny, but sadly it couldn't have done it and flipped early. And Eruption, continuing to put up impressive freestyle after freestyle, topped Blood Rage just like it did in the championship, and took the lead with a 35 with several more trucks still to come. Yatsura would come out and have tie its run in Mexico City in 2015 for the highest score it ever had with a 32. It was incredible, but just wasn't enough. Sadly, Shadowrun, just like in the 2015 championship, flipped very early in its run and only got a 5. And Outrage, at the time, would put up its best run yet, but fell short of a 33. The former champs were coming out next, as Mad Dog came out and put up an incredible run and ended up tying Eruption for the lead. But Thunderbolt, trying to make up for falling short in racing, would put up an incredible run, including having a wild, almost safe flip at the end of its run, and ended up taking the lead with a 39! It was incredible. We had 4 trucks still to go, and Outlaw was the next one out, but just like the last 2 shows it competed in Vegas, its run ended early. Not flipping this time, but stuffing it into the wall, breaking the front end, and only got a 12. Then Nitro came out, struggled a bit on the field, and ended up getting stuck in between the jammers of the backflip wall, and only got a 30 as it now became an obstacle. And Crazy once again put up another incredible run to try and take back its Freestyle King title, but fell short with a 34. And last up was Impala, the defending champion, coming back on the track where it once freestyle title 2 years ago, and it's going to beat its arch rival Thunderbolt to get revenge from losing racing and win freestyle once again. Had an incredible run, but flipped as it went into the protective area of the stands and flipped over. Only got a 37, and Thunderbolt would win freestyle in Vegas, getting beating its arch rival twice, and almost got the sweep if it wasn't for Blood Rage beating it in racing. But the night wasn't over, as 2007 marked the 10th anniversary of Iron Wing. So to celebrate, I made, of course, the special 10th anniversary Iron Wing on Rigs or Rods, and I imported it over to MTM2, and I had, for an encore, all the original Iron Wing trucks coming out for an encore until they flipped or broke. It was absolutely insane. Now, unbeknownst to all of you, because I'm telling you right now, I actually had another event planned in 2017, but it ended up not happening, and nothing I've done since has been that event yet. I still plan to do this event in the future, but it might not be till much later in 2020, or it might not be till 2021. It's a special event I have planned. I have to fix all the trucks though for it though. So keep an eye out for that, but there was going to be another event in 2017, but it just ended up not happening. As we then go into 2018. Nothing else happened in 2017, as the event I had planned never happened. And going into 2018, I still had an event planned, but I just pushed it, kicked the bucket down the road, just didn't do anything. And of course, it was getting pretty late into the year, and I was like wondering, like, geez, it's been over a year now since I've done an MTWS event. And I've done at least one event every year. I need to do something eventually, soon, before the year ends and all that. But of course, I still couldn't think of where it would be. And then finally, when I got in the mood, okay, it's time to finally do an MTWS event, I decided I was going to go to Houston. It would be the first event there since August 30th of 2015, so it's been over 3 years. So I think it was time to come back. And I made a beautiful, unique St. Louis style track. It was kind of like the St. Louis style tracks in the late 90s, early 2000s, where it had a couple extra jumps in both lanes and all that. That was actually a bitch to make, and the way I had the final jump set up, they would end up doing a skywheeling lane right on top of the cars, which was beautiful and all, but it kind of looked really weird and awkward for racing. But I made the new fountain, and I made a whole bunch of new textures in that track as well. Really unique new dirt textures I made and discovered. It was this track, though, where I discovered that, remember I mentioned the last episode that the 2015 championship track was extremely laggy? At first I thought it was because I made way too good high quality models, which a lot of them were. But this track I found out would have the same lagging issue, and that's why I concluded that it's not the models, because these were very small models and not really unique like the championship was. It's the textures that's causing it, and I noticed the texture problem, the lag problem would go away as the textures would go off during freestyle. So, yeah, that's pretty sad that the lag would happen for racing and all that. And for this event, it was going to be 21 trucks, a unique bracket too, as it would include a brand new truck, Wild Drive. That was a truck I actually fought for several years, but finally made it and all that. So, the event actually went on and happened. So the day finally arrived, November 17th, 2018, as MTWS was back in Houston. This event I actually worked throughout the entire fall of 2018 before it finally came up. It was probably the longest event I made in terms of filming it and then put it on YouTube, like 2 months and all that. So it was a unique style for racing 21 truck bracket, which means there was going to be one race in round 1 to knock it down from 21 to 20. And Outlaw, as the Federation Champion, would get the #1 qualifying time, with Crush Run being 2nd place, and to the surprise of everyone, Crazy actually got 3rd place, which was stunning, as Crazy handled that track very well. So in round 1, which I was incorrect, had multiple races on it, Ye Plunder would beat the rookie Wild Drive, Damage Control would beat Madness for its first ever racing win, as Madness would flip in its run, Eruption would beat War Machine, Topsy Turvy would edge out MTWS, and Predator would beat Total Chaos. Round 2 would begin. Outlaw beating Ye Plunderer, Blood Rage beating Bling, Crazy Bull beating Damage Control, Eruption beating Mad Dog, Topsy Turvy just edging out Crazy to the surprise of everyone, Night Stalker pulling off the upset and beating Destroyer, Patriot beating Wild Ride, as Wild Ride would miss the racing lane completely, preventing it from getting the win, and Crush and Run would beat Predator. The quarterfinals was set as it was going to be Outlaw going up against Blood Rage, their first ever rematch since the 2015 championship, and Outlaw would once again get the victory. Crazy Bull would edge out Eruption. Topsy Turvy continued to surprise everyone by making it to the semifinals, beat Night Stalker, and Crush and Run would edge out Patriot. So semifinals was Outlaw going up against Crazy Bull, the hard, big arch rivalry between the two of them. But Crazy Bull would get its revenge as it would beat Outlaw to make it back to the finals. And Crush and Run would beat Topsy Turvy, which set up the finals between Crazy Bull and Crush and Run. Both trucks put up the fastest times of the night in a very close photo finish, but Crazy Bull would just edge it out to get its first racing win since December 27, 2015 in El Paso. So Wild Drive, the new rookie truck competing in this one-time event, would start off freestyle, had a solid run, and got a 23, as 2 trucks later, War Machine came out, put a good run to take the lead with a 25. Then Crazy Bull came out, going for the double down, and had a great run, but didn't go as good as it normally would do when it goes for double downs, only getting a 28, which was just enough still to get the lead. Several trucks later, Topsy Turvy came out, and just like it did in Houston 3 years ago, announced its presence with a huge sky wheelie and huge air off the step up, and the run and that move helped as it would go on to tie Crazy Bull with the lead. Several trucks later, Madness came out after its flippin' race and had a good run, but only could get a 27. Then I brought out the camper on a crane, which was only the second time I ever used that obstacle, with the first time being the 2014 championship. And as soon as it brought out, MTWS competing its first event since the 2016 Louisville event, had a great run, incredible run actually, and for a surprise of everyone, actually went for the crane instead of the camper and knocked it down. It was stunning, and went right for the camper and beautifully destroyed it. Flipped a little bit early in its run though, but it was enough to take the lead with a 31. And Eruption continued its really good stretch of being good in freestyle, and ended up taking the lead from MTWS with a 33. Several trucks came out, but no one could beat Eruption's score, so Outlaw came out, had an incredible run out there, and ended up taking the lead with a 35 with just a few trucks remaining. Just 2 trucks remained as Mad Dog came out, but only would get a 32. And last up was the former Freestyle King Crazy, putting up an incredible run, just like it did here last time it competed in Houston. An absolutely incredible run, and during its run, it actually smashed on top of the van stack and actually got the rear end broken, the middle axle split between the middle, and fell apart as Crazy continued on a little bit before coming to a stop because of all the damage. But it was enough to get the win with a 37. What an incredible win that would be for Crazy, as it was now an obstacle, as we had encores coming up too. As Bone Crusher and Polar Storm haven't competed since 2015, came out for an encore. Wild Drive came out one final time before it was done. And Destroy and Bling, the 2 Texas trucks, had a choreographed encore in their hometown and home state. And funny enough, in their run, they nearly flipped simultaneously. It was incredible how that happened. But that wraps up the 2018 off-season, as after I finished Houston, I began right to work on getting MTWS ready for the 2019 10th anniversary season. And oh boy, I had a lot of stuff planned for that. But that's another time for me to talk about it. So I'm going to wrap it up here. It's almost 1 in the morning. Hope you all enjoyed me talking about this, and see you in the next episode where we talk about the 10th anniversary season. I cannot wait for that. So see you guys then.